Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Cohen, owner of Spirit and Soul Studio, and I can't wait to talk about this subject today. Every year, I can't wait to talk about inner winter and winter solstice because I truly think that this time of year is something that is deeply, deeply important for ourselves, for our own growth. And I think that this time of year can almost get a little um, lost in translation, or maybe looked at as a season of just nothing much is happening. And meanwhile, there's so much that we can work with here and so much happening beneath the surface that when we pay attention to, that we can really use to our greatest and deepest advantages. So let's dive in. I want to talk about winter solstice first. So winter solstice is this week. It is the 21st. And if you're listening in real time, and winter solstice is something that has been celebrated, I mean, in ancient cultures. This is something that was truly, truly celebrated. Now it seems like it can be just a day of the year. But when you lean into the energy of it, you will see why we want to actually celebrate it and why we want to take a moment and take some time to truly understand the energy that's happening and allow ourselves time to celebrate it, there's no other word that I can think of to truly celebrate this time of year. And why do we want to celebrate it? Well, this is the death and the rebirth of the sun. So it is the longest, so the 21st is the longest night of the year, and it's the shortest day. So it's basically the return of the light that we're celebrating. It's the return of the sun. So the winter solstice is the moment that the sun is born again. So basically what happens is it's ever since last year's winter solstice, the sun has grown from its birth to its height, which is at the summer solstice. So that's the longest day of the year, right? The most light that we experience. And then through autumn, light declines. And then until finally the sun dies and is reborn at the same exact time. Because now, once it has that shortest day of the year, immediately the next day, more sunlight is coming. Every day we have more and more sunlight. So this is truly the understanding of the sun and why it's so important to really look at light in this way. Now, the sun itself holds so much energetic frequency for us as humans. Obviously, we need it to live. We need its warmth, we need its energy, but on top of all of that, we really need, on an energetic level, we need that energy of the sun. For some people, this may even be your power element. The power element is the sun. So going out into the sunlight really rejuvenates you. It is it is healing, truly, deeply healing. You probably hear it in my voice, I'm just getting over being sick. And the days that I took time to go out in the sunlight was truly the days that I felt so much better. I had a week of not feeling well at all. And the first couple of days I could barely move. And then once I was able to actually take a step outside, feel that sunlight on my face, everything inside of me just started to shift. And I just felt so much better. And I'm sure that as I'm saying this, you understand it, that there's a level, whether you realize it or not, that says, yeah, the moment that sunlight hits my face, it just warms me through. So learning to work with the energy of the sun is so important. And this time of year, this winter solstice time, really celebrating it by inviting light into your life, inviting light into your house. can really be a symbolic way of, like, a ritualized way of inviting in more light. And why do we work with light? Well, light is cleansing. Light, again, it's warming, and you're going to need this as we talk about inner winter. You're going to want to fall back on this energy of the sun, this energy of light within your life as you walk through this timing of inner winter. So, just to give you a couple of ideas for ways that you can really celebrate the winter solstice, is you can burn a Yule log. A Yule log is not just a thing that you have on your TV that, you can put on in place of your fireplace. That it's so much more than that. A Yule log is really a way that you can let go of the old and allow in the new, right? Death and rebirth. Um, you can also write down what you want to let go of on a piece of paper and burn it, just like we would do in a full moon. Really think of the winter solstice almost as this, like, um, release, how we do the release of the full moon, like, during the full moon. Think of it like that, but really heightened, really, really heightened. And that it's your energetic, it can be your, if you allow it to be, your energetic death and rebirth. So if there's something in your life that you're like, I am feeling darkness around this, like maybe you have a health thing going on, or maybe you're just in a rut or in a funk, or feel like you're stuck, then you can take this energy right now and say, okay, you know what? I am going to allow that part of myself to die off. I'm going to release it so that I can be reborn as the thing that the way I want to be, right? I don't want to be in a rut. I want to be moving forward. So you can start to release that older version of yourself, that former version of yourself, and make a choice to start maybe living life a little bit more intentionally, making more changes, and truly allowing in the light into your life. Because, when we're in that place, we can feel that darkness, and that darkness is truly something that is palpable and it's felt. And the reason that we always feel it, and we feel it even more, it's so tantalizing, is because most of the world is in a lower vibration frequency. Most of the world is in this, I don't want to say dark place, but I mean, it kind of feels fitting. But most of the world is like that. Most of the world is in a victim mindset. So when you're in that, when the collective consciousness is in this place, it's easier to just continuously fall into that. So when you make a choice to step out of that, you're truly making a choice to shift. And in doing so, you're coming out of a comfort zone. So remember that this is coming out of a comfort zone, and it's not going to feel as easy. And it shouldn't. It's not going to, because again, that collective consciousness is what drags you down. So you can choose now to say, I am releasing that former version of myself. I'm not allowing that former version of myself to thrive as it has been, because it's not truly thriving, it's existing. And I'm not going to allow it in, and I'm going to start making changes and choices that really lend to a life that I want to see, or feelings that I want to have. So writing down what you want to let go of and burning it is going to add into that energy of light, that energy of the sun, that warming energy. So you can do that. You can also do some fun things too, like create a little wreath or a big wreath. I mean, you do you. But creating a wreath or something of nature could be really fun, and just inviting in those energies. And if you are a creative person, that could be a great way to have a symbolism, right? Because thinking of a wreath is round like the sun. You can put bright things on there, maybe like dried oranges or things that you find outside. And it's almost this giving back to nature, as well as like, what's the word I'm trying to find? It's truly like an offering. You can hang it on your front door, whatever it may be. And it's this truly like, I'm inviting the sun into my home. So that could be a great way if you're creative. Also, enjoy the night by candlelight. So light some candles. Maybe you have your Christmas tree up, but light candles instead of turning on the lights. Maybe light a fire if you have a fireplace and enjoy the light coming in. Understand it's not just lighting candles, right? It's being intentional with it, saying that you are inviting light into your life. You're inviting light into your energetic field. And of course, you can join us at Spirit and Soul because we are going to be celebrating the winter solstice with a winter solstice cacao ceremony. So if you're listening in real time, I would love for you to join us. It's going to be amazing. I love cacao ceremonies, especially around winter solstice, because it's so heart opening, it's warming, it's heart opening. And when we actually, I'm saying it's Wednesday, it's Thursday. I've been saying this whole time it's Wednesday. I don't know what day it is. It's Thursday. So on Thursday is the cacao ceremony. Thursday is the winter solstice. And when we're working with that energy of the cacao, we're working with heart opening. And heart opening is truly what we want to do here because we want to open our hearts and invite the light in. So these are ways that you can celebrate the winter solstice. I would love for you to celebrate it with us as well. But the winter solstice opens up now time, and I'm saying loosely that it opens it up because I start going through inner winter. I feel like in December, like beginning of December, I really start going into my inner winter phase. And this is really the phase that I find to be one of the most important of the year. So if we can, I mean, when I say of the year, I mean of our own inner seasons, okay, in our year. So this time right now is a time for new beginnings. And it kind of it goes along with New Year's Eve, right? We talk about, we're going to do another podcast episode all around setting intentions, but this is a time for new beginnings. And we can ask from the winter solstice energy, we can ask the sun to really propel us forward. It's really a time for that spiritual transformation. So understanding that, we now look at this phase. This is going on in the outside world, right? The outside energies that we can draw on. But your insides, your inner energy is asking you to almost go into a hibernation state. And I truly start going through this in the beginning of December. I am not one of those people as social as I am and most of the year. And I know I'm supposed to be very social around the holidays. I actually not. I really start going within. I start hunkering down. And it's, there's something about this time of year that I really lean into the most, more than summer, more than spring. I truly lean into my inner winter so much because I find deep solace in it. It truly feels like an incredible reset. And I find that for about a month or two, I'm really diving deep into it. And it usually starts in the beginning of December for me and kind of ends around February, like beginning of February, personally for me. And that can be different for everybody. You can start in January, you can start right now. I mean, it's totally different for everyone, but my inner winter, I find that, and I find that I'm faced with a lot of things around the beginning of December. I'm faced with a lot of things that I need to work through, especially this year. I was having a lot coming up, and that's great. I find those times where, it feels challenging, where life feels a little bit challenging, or where old memories are coming up, or old feelings, or maybe karmic patterns are repeating. I find these times, while they're uncomfortable, to be so rewarding when you're looking at them through the eyes of healing and through the eyes of growth. Because otherwise, it's just crappy stuff happening to you, right? But if you look at it for what it is and say, okay, why am I in this karmic cycle? Why is this coming back up again? I see you. I'm witnessing this karmic cycle coming up again. And how can I work through it? And what is it trying to do for me? That shifts the energy around the things that are happening. So yeah, you're still going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but when you can understand them, that's truly where the growth comes from. So your inner winter is really a time to start getting quiet. It's really a time to listen, listening to yourself. And if we're so go, go, go all the time, we're not going to make that space to listen. And this doesn't mean that you have to just sit on your couch for months. No, it just means that you're giving yourself maybe that little bit of extra time or a little bit of extra cushion to support you, to support yourself, and really listen to the whispers of your soul, to really start understanding what's coming through and not really judging what's coming through. So that's going to play a key role as well. Like if you're judging yourself for the things that are coming up, then you're still in that victim mindset. You still want to drag yourself down, and you're not looking at these things that are coming up during your inner winter phase. You're not looking at them as the true chance for growth. If we look outside, right, we look at nature, and nature is mirroring back to us what's going on within us. This isn't a time of death. It's a time of dormant. It's a time of where seeds underneath the surface of the earth, they're working. They're working to grow. They're not growing yet, but they're getting themselves prepared. They're they're cocooning themselves and waiting until that time where they can start their growth. But that doesn't mean that they just sit still. It means that it's doing whatever work it needs to do beneath the soil. So it's mirroring it back to us. And what we need to do is say, okay, and when we're going to do this in the next podcast episode, we're going to talk about New Year's intentions. And what you really want to do is start understanding of where do you want to go this year, you know? And if you can start to understand that, then you can see how the seeds that are already being planted within you, this is the time to start nurturing them, not when they're about to grow, because they've already been nurtured enough to actually take the steps to grow. Right now, right here, right now is the time where you're nurturing those seeds, where you're believing in yourself, where you're making shifts in your actions, you're making changes to how you show up in the world. And when you start making those changes of how you show up in the world, well, I can tell you this, that consistency compounds. So you may not see in the very beginning what you would want to see, right? Because we are not patient. And the thing is that little changes, 1% changes every day. I'm going to actually even push you maybe for 2% changes every day. Making a little bit of a change every day will then add up to your biggest growth. And it just happens. This is what happens. These little bits. And when you commit to that and start saying, okay, today I'm going to give myself love, or, whatever your goal is going to be, today I'm going to work on my business. Today I'm going to, do one thing that supports my health journey. And holding that vision steady doesn't mean that you have to be at the finish line right now. What it means is that you're nurturing yourself in order to get there. You're nurturing yourself to get to the finish line, and you understand that you're not saying like, I'm just making a jump, because those things don't last. When we just completely change and just completely shift everything about ourselves, it took us years to get into the habits and the things that we have now. Years. So why do you think that you can just snap your fingers and change every single thing about it? You have to take these steps, and that comes from nurturing those seeds within. That comes from you saying, this is how I want to end up. This is the feeling. This is the look. This is everything that I want. Okay, so now I have to start nurturing it here. And I truly believe that nurturing starts from understanding yourself so much more deeply. So that's why inner winter is so important, because when you understand yourself, when you allow yourself to go to those deeper, darker places and still shed that light, right? That winter solstice light, allow the light to be really shine on it. You're starting to warm the seeds. You're starting to allow them to be comforted. You're starting to allow them to start to maybe do the little bit of work that they need to do to poke through the soil when it's time. So when we lean into our inner winter, we are understanding that it is truly this phase of renewal and rebirth, right? And we're allowing that by going underground and really kind of allowing ourselves to come to a little bit of a standstill so that we can push forward later, right? We can ask the sun, the energy of the sun, to help to propel us forward. So when we really allow that energy of winter to also not to permeate through us, but also understanding that it's not a linear process, that this is a cyclical process, or that this is a spiralic process that we can revisit and revisit and revisit many different layers, so that when the time comes, we can allow ourselves to really bloom and grow in the biggest and beautiful ways, because we've allowed time for us to work through some of those things and to listen. And I'm not saying this all has to be dark. It doesn't. It's a time for you to understand yourself. So who are you at your core? Who are you at your core when it comes to whatever your goals are, whatever vision you have for your life? Who are you at your core, and what's been standing in the way of that? Because you're the only thing in your way. So what's been standing in the way of that? What excuses have you been making? What judgments did you have of yourself? What limiting beliefs did you have of yourself that have got in your way of you already achieving that dream? And when you can start to understand those things and say, you know what? Yeah, this has been standing in my way, but what really is going to get me there is that I have fill in the blank. I have tenacity. I'm loyal, right? And loyalty isn't just to people or place or things. Loyalty is for you, to yourself as well. Like, are you loyal to you? Are you showing up for you every day? It's great that you show up for other people, but are you showing up for yourself? And if you can recognize, like, you know what? I do show up for everybody else. I'm a loyal person. That means that I can be loyal to me too. Right? And you can understand, like, your strengths. Where are you not using them for you? Maybe you're using them in your outside world, but you're not using them for your own goals and dreams. So this is truly the time right now for you to start to figure that out, to know yourself so much more. And that's why I truly love this time of winter. I love inner winter. I'm not saying that I love the freezing cold weather, but what I do love is this energetic time of year, and knowing that I can also outside draw on that sun's energy that began at the winter solstice in order to warm me through, in order to really help to light up my life in a bigger way. So allow yourself. This is a time of really allowing. So you have to make sure that you're making that time for listening to yourself. You have to make sure that you are not rushing the process, because think about it, everything blooms and grows when it's meant to, as it's moving into that springtime phase. And right now it's not spring. So we can't expect things to just bloom right this minute, right? Especially if you're just getting started. I just truly think that personal growth is one of the most beautiful things that we can aspire to every day, grow that little bit more, because there are so many things about you that you don't know, so many things about you. And like, think about, even if you're like married or you're with somebody and there's something new that you may know the person inside and out, but there's something new that you may learn about them every day. Something a little, even just a little bit, good, bad, or ugly. You're learning something a little bit more about them. And it's because you're growing and they're growing, and you start to see things differently, and maybe they see things differently, or maybe they're not growing and you see things a little bit differently, and you can understand them a little bit more fully as you begin to understand yourself. So, uh, I really, if I give you this little push right now, start to lean into this energy. Start to truly lean into the energy of winter, and you will see that come springtime, your growth is going to be exponential because you allowed for this time. So slow down, go within. I would highly suggest getting a journal, um, even a brand new journal just for winter, and allow time for yourself. Allow not just maybe morning journaling or late night journaling, but even just when the mood strikes you, right? Where it's not like I have to sit down and do a formalized thing, which is always great. And I love that. Don't get me wrong. But when something hits you, that you can write it down. And I like writing a little bit better. Now, if you want to use your phone, that's okay. But I like writing it because it's truly an energy exchange of taking the energy from the body and pen to paper, getting it out. There's just something about it for me anyway. But on the go, your notepad app on your phone is great too. So I'm highly suggesting journaling. Of course, meditation. I'm always going to be a meditation pusher, but make this time and space for you. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I hope to see you this Thursday at our cacao ceremony for the winter solstice to celebrate and invite that light in. And I will see you on the next episode.